Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode 45 of the Computer Business Marketing Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Tech Site Builder. Tech Site Builder is a hosted website builder that allows you to quickly and easily get a clean, professional, and effective website up and running for your IT business. Save time and frustration with Tech Site Builder. Learn more at techsitebuilder.com. It's also brought to you by IT Owners Compass. IT Owners Compass is the event for you this year in Chicago. Get help navigating your IT business with expert speakers, in-depth workshops and labs, panel discussions, and fun social events. This August 24th through the 26th in Chicago. Get your tickets at itocompass.com. In this episode, we talked to Gabe Arnold about how to produce effective content for your business. You'll learn how to write effective cold emails, what to put on the homepage of your website, and some important tips about building loyalty and trust through your content. All that and so much more coming up right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Computer Business Marketing Show. If you own or work in an IT services business, this is the place to be to get more clients, keep them happy, and grow your revenue. You can find and or download and or subscribe to all show episodes at computerbusinessmarketing.com. That's the website where you can find the show notes and you can comment on anything that's happened on this show or previous shows. You can watch the video or the audio. Everything's available for you there at computerbusinessmarketing.com. You can also catch our live stream on Facebook right now, every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Just be sure to like the Tech Site Builder Facebook page, click that following tab, and then select See First so that every time we go live, it'll pop up to the top of your news feed and you can check out what's going on and get the marketing tips that you want every week for your business. So on this episode, I'm excited to have Gabe Arnold on. He is going to be talking to us about copywriting and things to keep in mind when you're writing copy for all of your marketing, and some tips and tricks about that. And we'll talk a little bit about his service as well, which is called Copywriter Today. And we might dig into some of the other businesses he runs and some of the services he provides. He's kind of a guru of all things marketing, and I love to just be able to pick people's brains who live in this world for your benefit as the listener, of course, and selfishly for my benefit as well. But before we dig into that, as always, I just have some housekeeping and announcements and all of that to do. The first thing is the IT Owners Compass. That is the event in Chicago happening in August 24th through the 26th. It's, we're still putting it together. A lot of awesome new details being fleshed out. One of the cool new things on the website, if you go to the website and you go to speakers, there's now a speakers tab, and you can see a list of all of the people that we have lined up who are available to contribute as speakers or on panels, or we're still kind of working out how they're going to be involved, but they said, hey, we want to be involved, and they're subject matter experts, they're other fellow IT business owners, they're the podcasters, they're sponsors, they're vendors, they're all the people that you've told us that you want to hear from, about the topics that you've told us that you want to learn about. So that's there. You can kind of peruse through all of that and see some of the topics that we'll be talking about. And everything else is the same. We're working out the schedule details, but I'm just telling you, it's going to be awesome. And tickets are almost sold out. And I tell you this every time, the tickets are getting less and less and less. And I mean, literally, like, I could probably count on my hands here how many tickets are left, and I don't want to say a number because it depends on when you listen to this show. One thing I can announce is that the early bird tickets are over. We're actually ending that at midnight tonight, so if you're listening to this live, you still have an opportunity to grab the early bird pricing. But if you're listening to the recording of this podcast, early bird pricing is over. We had to end that because we're almost sold out, so we had to bump up the price to hopefully recoup some of the expenses we're having. But really, we wanted to get as many people as possible into that early bird price. But it's only bumping up $50, so it's not that bad. So even if you missed out on early bird pricing, it's still it's the cheapest event in town. There's no other IT business event that I've seen that is this value packed for an entire weekend for this price. We also still have discounted hotel rooms. We had a super discount before. We have a okay discount now, but it's still better than if you tried to book through some other Expedia or through the hotel itself. So all that to say, get your tickets if you haven't yet. The time is getting very near. I think either next podcast or the podcast after, I'm going to have to announce that it's sold out. So get in there. It's going to be awesome. ITOcompass.com is the website. So check that out. Also, don't forget the Computer Business Marketing newsletter. If you go to computerbusinessmarketing.com, there's a sign-up form at the top. Put in your info, and every week we send you an email with some marketing tips for specifically curated for computer businesses. So we'll curate some articles from different places. We also have some of the latest happenings in the Facebook group. We have a tip of the week. And then we have the latest podcast episode and any other videos or things that I'm doing, throughout the week. It's all there. Check that out. Go to computerbusinessmarketing.com and sign up for the newsletter. Lots of great stuff once a week. We're not going to spam you, just actionable, excellent content. And then finally, a shout out to our sponsor, TechSite Builder. I'm not going to go into detail about TechSite Builder because I talk about it every episode. Just go to techsitebuilder.com. If you want a clean, professional, and easy to build website for your computer business, that's the place to go. It's SEO optimized, it's security optimized, it's speed optimized. So all you have to do is plug in your content and maybe add a couple pictures and tweak a couple things, change the colors if you want to, and then you're done. We also have some concierge services where we can take care of that for you. So you just sign up and then say, hey, Matt, build my site for me, and we'll do that for you. Super affordable, way more affordable than if you tried to hire a web developer or a web designer. Also more affordable if you consider the amount of time it would take you to purchase a WordPress theme, figure out how to configure it, and figure out how to write content for it. Because as we know, your time is valuable and you should be spending it making money for your business, not fiddling around with a website. So check that out at techsitebuilder.com. All right. And without further ado, let's jump into the interview portion of the show, which is always my favorite portion. I hope it is yours too. Today we have Gabe Arnold. He is the founder and chief pencil sharpener at copywritertoday.net. And that's a subscription-based article writing service. Now he's got a great bio that I have here, but instead of me just reading through it, I'll let him kind of give you the 411 on his background. So Gabe, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Matt. This is awesome. I love being on shows, and I really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate you coming on to share your knowledge with our listeners. One thing we were talking about before the show is you have your own podcast called Today's Business Leaders, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Cool.
But you mentioned that there's one, I'm going to steal your question, because you mentioned there's one question that you ask on your podcast, and and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember it exactly, but is, when did you realize that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Is that right?
Yep, that's exactly it. Nobody's ever asked me, so thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, so really early on, probably before I was even 10 years old, I realized that where we grew up, I have a huge family. I have 5 younger brothers and an older sister, and we grew up being caretakers for an extremely wealthy, awesome, really kind guy. And so he would have like the Clintons over for dinner and the Bushes, and like just very well connected, very, very wealthy. And we were the poor neighbors that lived in the house for free because my parents would work for them to pay for their rent. And in that, as soon as I realized that, being very young, I was like, wow, I don't want to live like this. I want to live like my landlord. And so that was the moment when I started to think about, okay, how do I get there? And then I was walking out. It was on this like 30-acre property, beautiful property that backed up to 1,000-acre like private park preserve that all these wealthy landowners had put together. I was out there walking, and I was always out in the woods screwing around, trying to be Daniel Boone or something like that. And I like came around the corner, and there was my landlord and his daughter was probably like 35 or 40. And I had just caught and killed this big black snake. And I was carrying it around, I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 or 11, like somewhere in that age range. And so my landlord's daughter said, "Hey, could you make me a belt out of that snake?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And she's like, "How much do you charge me?" I'm like, "I don't know. How about $40?" She's like, "Sold." She's like, "Bring it to me when you're done." And so like a month or so later, when she was back in town visiting my landlord, I gave her something that probably looked horrendous. And I made $40, and I was like, "Wow, this is the way to wealth."
Nice. Yes.
And then a little bit later, when I was 16, after hanging out in like ICQ, if anybody remembers that, and AOL and BB boards, I figured out how to build websites. And I built and sold a website for $3,000 when I was 16.
Wow.
And I was like, "Holy cow, this tech and marketing stuff is going to take off." So from there, I ended up building a multi-million-dollar construction and remodeling company through buying online leads and building my own websites and doing all my own lead generation. Lost that company in the housing market crash, getting stuck for $250,000, which was a painful and valuable learning experience. And from there, but I was like, well, what did I like out of this whole experience? Like the construction part was in my family and very easy for me, but what I really enjoyed out of it was like the tech and the marketing and everything I had done. So from there, I transitioned into building a help desk and voice over IP and web dev shop. And I did that for a long time. And that is what has morphed into what is today our parent company, which is called Business Marketing Engine. And out of that created Copywriter Today, which we'll talk about today, and a lot of other products. So that's the short version of a wild ride of being an entrepreneur.
I love it. I mean, it's, entrepreneurship is rarely like you have this grand vision of what you want to accomplish and then you just accomplish it. It seems more often than not, it's just these things kind of fall in your lap, or you do one thing and you realize you liked one aspect of it more than the others, and so you focus on that.
Yep.
And then you just kind of go where your heart takes you and where the work is and what you enjoy doing. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. That's kind of the same path that I followed, and
yeah,
it's exciting.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm totally unemployable, so this is my only option.
Yep. I'm with you. So the idea, how long have you been doing the Business Marketing Engine company?
Since 2007. So okay. We're like 11 years old this year, which is kind of cool. So
cool. Before we dig into the copywriting, just out of curiosity, what are some of the things you've done to market and promote that business? Have you targeted it at a specific like type of client, or have you I guess kind of give your thoughts around how you set that up and how you're getting it out to the world?
So I'm a little bit of a slow learner, so it takes me longer than everybody else, I feel like. But in the beginning, if you were breathing, I would take you as a client. You didn't even have to ask.
Start there, right? Yeah.
So I originally started out by building a script to scrape Craigslist before there's a lot of easier ways to do it these days. But I had a script that I built that crawled Craigslist, and then I would respond to like anywhere from 75 to 200, posts per day. So I would crawl the whole country. And out of that, I ended up doing like my first $1.5 million in web dev and like tech support and things like that. And learned a ton and was not very profitable, but got a lot of time in, it's very important to put in time and get experience, and you learn a lot from there. But so I always started out with fueling that business with free lead sources. So like Craigslist or, responding to posts there. I have made a lot of money and a lot of connections on LinkedIn, and just constantly worked that. And over the years, build up to where, like, I think this month I'll cross like 11,000 connections on LinkedIn, which isn't huge, but it's enough to generate some money.
Right.
And I built some really great relationships and partnerships there. And so I have focused early on a lot of free, like, cold outreach sources. So we do a lot of cold email. We do a lot of, responding to posts, things like that. But in the last 2 to 3 years, we've moved a lot into paid traffic because we do that for our clients. And so we do a lot more of that. And in the beginning, when you start up a company, you have the time versus money situation all the time. So when you start up, you have a lot of time. So it's good to use free sources. And when you get busier, you don't have time and you have more money if you're operating profitably.
Yep.
So we've been in that transition for a while, but But I mean, honestly, I've made a lot of cold calls, done a lot of cold email, messaged a lot of people on LinkedIn, responded to a lot of Craigslist posts, and that's how I built the base that we operate off of today. And now we're moving a lot into paid traffic. We do a ton of paid traffic for clients, but we're actually starting to do it for ourselves now too. So,
right. Yeah, that's great. So let's talk a little bit about the cold outreach then, because that, there's some copy involved in maybe cold emails
Yep.
and the cold calls and stuff. What has worked for you? What are some tips you could give us about doing cold outreach to, introduce your services to someone who's never heard of you before?
Yeah. So I'll go out on a limb and assume that a lot of your audience is very technical. And
That would be safe to assume, yeah.
and I'm super technical, I'm super nerdy, and I love it. And so I read The Idea Factory, which is about how AT&T started, and it's a phenomenal book, and you'll understand why I'm bringing it up. It talks about kind of how transistors were created, which transistors are the basis of modern computing in my simple explanation.
Yep.
And so as nerds, we super geek out on data, and I'm not big into crypto, but I love blockchain, and I like reading about how IP version 6 works, and it's very cool to nerd out on that stuff. And I'm all about it. And I could sit and read for days about that, and it gives me such a mental high. However, most of the time, if you just randomly walk into a room of business owners, 1 out of 100 will be nerdy, at the level that I just said, and will understand any of what I just said. All of your audience probably does, but we think that's so cool, and it is. I love it. I'm passionate about technology. But what happens is sometimes, as the technicians or the operators of our business or the owners, sometimes we think that what we do is what people want to hear, or the nitty gritty and the data and all the nerdy stuff, that if you pay attention when you talk enough nerd, a normal person, their eyes roll back in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And they have zoned out and they're gone. So it took me a long time to figure this out. But you don't want to talk about the data and the details and the stats and the nitty gritty and the nerdy stuff to your prospective customer, because you are immediately turning them off, and you're putting this huge mental block, and they're going to it's building either a small or a large amount of stress in their mind, because they don't understand it.
Right.
A lot of them don't. Some of them do, and then nerd out, and it's great.
That's kind of why they would hire these guys in the first place, is they
exactly.
don't understand it. They want someone who does.
Right. Today, I mentioned before we started recording, I have, I only have 3 or 4 help desk clients left, because we've moved so much into marketing. But today, client texts me, one of my favorite clients, and she's like, I just got this notice that Google Drive is going away, and I need to update to Google File Stream, and I have no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. That's the extent of your normal, customer or prospect's understanding, because she was very freaked out that she was going to lose her data, which obviously was not the case. I just needed to change her configuration, so I logged in to fix that. And by the way, Google File Stream is pretty cool. It's much better than the old version. But
very Dropboxy, right?
It's a mounted drive, which
right?
Makes a huge difference for me, because nice. You have so much archival data stored, but I'm always picking and choosing what to sync down, and now I don't have to with Google File Stream. So anyway, a little nerd out there for everybody. However, so if I could call my client and tell her, here's what's going to happen. This used to be locally stored. Now we're storing it on a network drive. And I could go into all this, and all that would happen is she would get more anxious or confused, or I wouldn't be achieving anything of value for her, because obviously she hired me for that. So sometimes, as business owners or technicians or nerds, and I'm a nerd, so I can say that, we like to nerd out on what we enjoy, and that's good to do with other nerds. But when you do that with your prospects or your customers, sometimes, unfortunately, often you're unintentionally damaging the relationship, and you can do that with a customer or a prospect. And so all you need to realize is step back into your kind of data-driven, nerdy logic brain and realize how the human brain operates. Other human brains, not yours, because our brains are a little different. And realize that when you throw a ton of data at somebody, you're brute forcing their brain. It's non-productive.
Good term. Yeah.
because things shut down, or we have problems when we have brute force attacks, right?
Yep.
So instead of doing that, because you're trying to help your client, but you're actually brute forcing their brain. So this is where a lot of techie, nerdy, technical, engineer type people or coders struggle, because they start brute forcing their customer or their prospect, and they don't achieve the real goal that they're going to. Because I know your audience and myself, like, our goal is to serve and help our customers. That's why we're in this business. That's the real outcome that we're looking for. And so instead of brute forcing your customer, just take a step back and like do a little self-evaluation and say, maybe am I doing that or not? You may be great at this, and you can move on to the next episode, but I've done it a lot, so I figured I would share this. So realize that you might be kind of brute forcing your customer's brain and not getting where you want to go. So instead of me explaining to my client today that FileStream is so awesome because it's a remote network drive and like it's unlimited storage comparatively to your local machine, all I need to say to them is I need to stay very top line and focus on kind of like end outcomes, the results that they're going to get, and like the dream and the vision. And I know that's a big word for dealing with network storage, but bear with me here. So if I just go to my client and say, hey, I'm going to take care of this. All that's going to happen is this is a more secure and easy way to store your files. Just leave it at that, because secure and easy are words that everybody understands, or most people understand. And it's the outcome that they're looking for, and their mind's they're going to be at ease. And instead of that brute force attack that they were getting that's creating stress, they're going to be like, oh, they're going to take a deep breath.
I like that. I like using kind of positive words like that, like easy and secure. And I think when we're doing cold outreach, we're trying to reach people who like might be feeling frustrated with their current IT support, or
exactly.
might be having doubts or whatever. And then we come in and say, hey, we understand that it can be frustrating, but we've got this great solution that can give you peace of mind and make you feel secure, and all of those words,
Exactly.
without going into the technical details, because again, they don't care or they don't know. And I love brute forcing your brain. That's awesome. I'll have to remember that. So I think that's great, and I think that can apply to any copy we write for our business.
Absolutely. So always focus on outcomes and feelings, because everybody can understand those and communicate with you. And you may need to get into some technical stuff, but remember this: every time you dive into the technical, you're starting to shut down the average person's brain. And this applies in any industry. This is not just in tech, but like if you were selling, financial products to people, and you start to explain like derivatives and options trading, their brain's going to shut down. They don't need to know that. What does somebody want? And I'll come back to IT. It's like, what does somebody want if they're going to invest their money? They want to make more money. They want a positive return on investment. Like, so just stick to the basics and don't get kind of dragged into the details, especially when you're prospecting and closing. Once somebody's a customer, if they come and they call you or they sit down with you and they're like, I want to understand how IP, technology works, and like, did my site get DDoSed, and then you wrote a firewall rule and fixed it. Like, if somebody wants to know that and they're paying you, then absolutely sit down and teach and coach. But in the moment when you're reaching out with cold email, a cold call, a Facebook post, anything, keep it super top line and focus on outcomes, and say, in a cold outreach message in LinkedIn, you could say, hey, Matt, I see that you're the owner of XYZ Corp. The reason I reached out is here at my company, name whatever it is, we help business owners securely back up all their data and eliminate all their IT worries. If you're interested, just shoot me a text, reply back here. I'd love to just take like 5 minutes and see if there's something that I can help you with.
Yep. I love it.
We're creating, and that's like a very soft, like positive outreach. You can also kind of hit some pain first and say, you'll see the results that you get. On either one, you kind of have to test and see what works. Just like you may roll out a new piece of software to try it and say, like, I like this one, I don't like this one. It's the same process in marketing. You reach out and say, you kind of try that soft, positive approach, or you go to the pain, because the people in the most pain spot, and you can say, hey, Matt, have you ever lost really important miles? And and had downtime because you weren't aware that your system was backed up properly, we can help with that. You know, and you don't need to talk to people about redundancy or like things that IT guys think about. Like, I back up here and here and here, of course, but like, that's not what they need. They need peace of mind knowing that they can work with a professional partner like you, who's going to take care of things that they don't have the brain space or interest in, you know, to learn. If they wanted to, they would never talk to you. Like, if they were IT guys, they may not be your client. So focus on outcomes and don't get dragged into the data so that you're not accidentally brute forcing somebody's brain and turning them off to the conversation immediately.
Love it. And I think that can apply in emails and on the website. So let's kind of transition to like a website and the copy we're writing for our websites. You know, when we're thinking about, you know, when we start to build a website, we're just like greeted with these blank pages. You know, I have a home page I need to fill. I have an about page I need to fill. What are some kind of things to keep in mind as we're trying to come up with content, or maybe hire someone to write the content for these different pages? Do we want to, you know, get into details? Do we want to keep it short and sweet? I can see kind of the pros and cons for each, right? If you keep it short and sweet, you're not doing the brute force on the brain, but then you might not be giving enough information for the person to be able to make a decision about whether they want to use your company. Kind of what are your thoughts around, you know, filling out a website with content?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a excellent book that I recommend everybody read. It's a really easy read. It's called Story Brand. I think it's Donald Miller, and I'll kind of give you the premise, and then I'll actually going to read off of Copywriter Today's homepage because I think it'll help people understand here.
Cool.
It's copywritertoday.net. You can see literally the first paragraph. You can read all of it if you want, but you can just read the first paragraph and kind of get the concept. So what we tend to do, and I don't know why this is, I have no data behind it, but we tend to do is like, hi, I'm Gabe, and this is what I do, blah, 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 blah. Like, we just go on and on and on in our copy. And there's a time and place for that. However, when we're really looking for solutions, we want somebody to talk to us about our problems and our needs. So you need to reposition the conversation to that. So this is the opening line on copywritertoday.net. It says, smart business owners who are looking for high quality content on a consistent basis that will help them beat their competitors and rank higher in the search engines use Copywriter Today to take the pain out of content creation. Click here to get your first article for free. And anybody that's watching can obviously do that. I would love to write a free article for you. But let me break down what's happening there. I'm calling you out specifically. And so if your target market is grocery stores, that's all I got.
Hey, could be.
Grocery store owners who are looking to have reliable IT support, never worry about losing something, you know, that isn't backed up, and always have security for their customers, so you never have to worry about credit card fraud. Use your company name to give them peace of mind 24/7, 365, you know, whatever, something like that. If you'd like a free consultation to learn how our services work, click here for your free 15-minute consultation. So anybody
that's it right away, right on the homepage. You hit them with that.
Exactly. So we're talking to the target demographic, and we're talking about them, and we're saying, if you need this, then this is what you can do. And it's just talking straight to them. It's very plain language, but it's focused on your ideal customer, what they need help with, and how you can solve their problems. They are going to go read your About Us page. So tell about who you are and your experience. They are going to go look at your pricing and services page. So be clear and accurate. But your overall messaging should always be about how can we have a conversation to see if we are a good fit to partner together. And these are the overarching things that we do for you. Do not put on your homepage that you use, you know, ZFS storage.
Right.
Then the eyes roll back and they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know if I need this or not. And confusion leads to inaction. Clarity leads to action. And so this is very hard to do for yourself. This is why I created Copywriter Today. It's very hard to get out of your own business in your head. So however you handle it, have your wife, your girlfriend, somebody in a different business that you're buddies with, look at what you wrote and see if it jives with them, because it's hard for me to write my own copy, and I own a copywriting business.
Yep.
So that's totally normal. But you've got to get out of your own head and start thinking about, what is my customer or prospect looking for, and how can I say it in the simplest, plainest language, and then get to having a conversation.
Yeah, and I think I see this mistake made a lot in our industry, where they try to put everything on the homepage. All the services they do, their entire life story, all the technology they use. They try to get it all in at the beginning, when really, just the nice, simple, succinct, one paragraph or a couple sentences that says what you do, who you're doing it for, and what the outcome is, and then give them a button or a link or a contact form or something to move forward. And then if they want to know more, they can dig. And that's what your about pages, that's what your services pages are for.
Yeah. And for SEO, purposes, you'll see our homepage is really long. We break down different things we do, and we have some testimonials and things like that, which I'm absolutely, totally, you should do that. But make sure within 1 to 5 seconds, when they hit the top of the page above the fold, they're like, oh, this is what these guys do. This is for me, or it's not. Because sometimes people think they want to attract everybody. You actually want to eliminate as many people as possible.
Right. Yep.
And I know that sounds contrary when you're like trying to hustle and make money and grow your business. But I don't want somebody to come here and think that like we could, I don't know, I can't think that we like write books for people. That's the only thing we do. Like, we have written books for people. Like, I wanted to be very clear about, like, if you just need high quality content on a consistent basis, then that's what we do for you. And mainstay in, or like focus in on one thing that is relatively global, that everybody will need out of your business. And then when you have the conversation, you can kind of do that. But also in that opening paragraph, or that kind of one-liner statement, we'll call it, try to eliminate people that you don't want to work with. So if you offer help desk, but you don't do VoIP, then, then make that clear. If you are just primarily security and PCI compliance, then make that very clear, so I don't call you to try to fix the broken page on my website. Right.
And I think it's important to, if you can, to niche like that. So that you can focus on a few of those things and not focus on other things. And that makes it clearer to your visitors who your service is for, and they'll be more likely to use you because you're the guy you're the VoIP guy, or you're the help desk guy.
You're the DNS guy. Yep. Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about the blog a little bit. So, we all hear we need to be blogging, and blogging's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you gotta blog over and over if you have a website and you have a business. How consistent do we need to be with that, and what kind of topics should we be talking about? Give us the rundown of how we should be blogging as IT service businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And it's one of the reasons we created Copywriter today. So I'll get to that. But so the first thing is, there's two kind of primary principles that you need to have in hand first. One is, what is the easiest medium for you to communicate to your customers and prospective customers? If that's writing, and you like writing, then you can write. If it's video, and everybody's nervous about getting on video, as Matt could tell you before he started the show, he probably wasn't like, I love getting on camera. And then you get good, and it's like, all right, I'm good. Like, I don't know how many hundreds of these I've done. Or if it's audio, or find your medium that you're most comfortable with and you feel like you communicate well with, and then practice it and get better at it. So first, choose your medium, because in today's world, it doesn't matter if you're doing a video or a blog post or just an audio podcast. So find your medium, and then second, choose a consistent schedule that you can stick to. Now, I will say, if you're planning on doing something once a month, I hate to tell you, just don't do it. In today's noisy world, if anybody scrolls through their Facebook feed, their LinkedIn feed, their Twitter feed, wherever you hang out, or if you hang out on Reddit or something like that, people that post once a month don't matter, and that's just that's the reality of things. So my recommendation is, at least do it once a week. And then ideally do it more, like maybe twice a week or 3 times a week. And that could be in writing a blog post, or doing a video, or creating a Facebook group where you help people. You need to constantly be noisy in your space. because the noisiest people always get the attention.
Right.
And then they get prospects and results. And there are plenty of times where I've had people say, "Oh, I followed you for a couple of years, Gabe, and I'm ready to do some business now."
Yep.
But that would only work. So we'll say it's been a couple of years, and I say they only saw my stuff once a week, even though I was posting a few times a week. They just happen to see it once a week. They've now seen posts from me 104 times, and they're ready to buy.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So you definitely do need to consistently put out content. The second piece of it, so choose your medium, be consistent at least once a week, and then the third piece is put something out that's really valuable and helps people solve problems. Give away your best brain power, your best solution. There's a company that I helped start up in the beginning and helped host and stuff called Browserling, which people may have heard of. And the reason that Browserling has been really successful and gone viral over time, in a sense, like they're having huge traffic spikes this year. He's a good friend of mine, Pateris, or he calls himself Peter now. He started it, and the reason that he's been so successful is every week he would build tools, like little JavaScript hacks or little tools or things, and just give them away. And it's some of his best work. And the guy's a wicked, brilliant, coder. And so he would just give and give and give. And then all of that will come back to you, all of it. But if you're afraid to give value or solve people's problems, then they don't know what you're capable of, and you're not contributing to their business, to their life, to their solutions, and they have no reason to trust you. So in your blog post or video or whatever you're putting out in your medium, give your best stuff that you can in little short snippets. And then at the bottom of your written blog post or at the end of your video, or whatever it is, just have a simple call to action. If you liked this and if this was valuable, then click here to get a free consult with me, or click here to sign up and use our service. Or, if you like this, then visit copywriting.net if you'd like, a free blog post to see how our service works. Always have a simple, soft call to action at the end, and be consistent in serving your community and the prospects in your space and your audience, and it will all come back to you. The problem with computers and tech and everything is like we can all like pop in, build a web page, and like solve a problem, change a DNS record, and it's like this. It's all done. But marketing and relationships and business don't always work like that. I've had, probably in my life like 20 or 31 call closes, not a lot of them. But the reality is when you build the relationship and you put the time in and you provide value, then you build credibility and then you reap the results. So marketing, which leads to sales, is like investing for your retirement. You need to consistently do it over time.
And I think it's really easy for computer repair people, computer business owners to do this, because every day you're working with clients and you're seeing new problems and you're fixing new problems. And so just take a problem you solved one week and create content about it. Say, this is what I did to figure it out, or this is how it's negatively affecting my client, and this is how we worked through it. And like you said, don't worry about giving away your secrets, because your secrets took you are uniquely positioned to be able to execute your secrets, your secret sauce. And even if your clients are hearing how to do this, they're not going to want to do it themselves. Instead, they're going to say, "Oh, hey, you know what you're talking about and you know how to solve these problems. So when I have another similar problem, I'll give you a call."
Exactly.
It's worked. It works great. Even for me in this podcast, I talk about marketing. I talk about how to put together a good website, and we've talked about those topics, and you can take everything we've talked about in this podcast and go build yourself an awesome website.
Right.
Of course, ain't nobody got time for that. Right?
We all are trying to build a business, and so is your customer. They got real stuff to deal with. They're trying to deliver products and deal with their HR issues and stuff. And so now you've proven to them that you are valuable, and anybody that's valuable can earn as much as they want.
Yes, that's great. I think that's kind of a good place to wrap things up. So, be valuable, be consistent with your content, offer the solutions instead of going through all the technical terms. So let's talk a little bit about Copywriter today. You mentioned a little bit about it, and we actually read your value proposition there on the homepage. But it sounds like it's a kind of a monthly subscription for regular like blog posts or that kind of copy for your business.
Yep. Yeah. So I originally created after listening to a podcast by Dan Norris about WP Curve. He created a service where you could have unlimited small fixes on your website,
Yep.
on WordPress sites. And I was like, man, I've built thousands of websites now. And anytime I go to the blog, it's empty, or I ask people for their About Us page and I never get it. So clearly there's a problem here. And you need that to have a fully, functional and valuable website. So I realized that people either don't have the time or the interest to write their own content, or they hate writing for some reason, which, that happens. And so what we created is this monthly subscription so that you can either just log in and say, hey, I need an article about how DNS works, or I need an article about XYZ, whatever the topic is, and we write it and send it back to you. And then you read it and post on your site. That's kind of our basic level package. Mm-hmm. But we also have a package where we'll come up with ideas for you. We'll then write them, we'll edit it, and we'll log into your website and post it for you and publish it. So it's completely autopilot, and it's called Autopilot Team. And we some other kind of things inside there. But we created it so that people could consistently have new content going out on the internet to their audiences and newsletter content, and have kind of this marketing engine running in the background, and they don't have to worry about it. And so that's kind of the promise. And we built it, we built it and automated a lot of it and put it all together. And now we have a team of over 50 people here, all based in the United States, that write all the content. None of our content that's written is outsourced overseas, because culturally it's just not a good fit for many reasons.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
So it's all States-based people, and they all go through a personal training course that I built. And so then you can have anything written, from press releases to technical content to little ebooks if you need a lead magnet to give away to build your email list. I mean, we write about 1 million words a month, so anything you want, we can do.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I like that. So it's basically almost like a retainer. You have like a writer on retainer, where anytime you need some content, you're just like, hey, I need this. Hey, I need this, or I need a flyer written, or I need this page on my website written, or I need a blog post.
Exactly.
And you take care of that. That's very cool.
Yeah, and instead of one of the things that I just kind of tried and worked, I mean, I'll be honest, it's just kind of dumb luck, is, most of the services you go out there to write stuff for, you want to charge you like 50 or 100 or a couple $100 for an article or a white paper or something. And I felt like there's a couple of challenges with that. Like, it's cost prohibitive for somebody in a lot of cases. Right. It's for one piece, and there's no consistent team getting to know you and your company and creating consistent content. So ours is a very low cost subscription, and you have the same account manager and writers on your project, so you get consistent content. And being a monthly subscription, it reminds you, like, hey, I need to, make sure I get some content out of it this month. And it's, we systematize the whole thing. So now there's a few more services like this, but I think we were like one of the first services that is service as a service. Obviously, everybody on the show knows what software as a service is, but we're service as a service. So. Very
cool. So yeah, I'd recommend folks checking that out. Maybe taking advantage of the free article. And,
absolutely.
And I think this is great for computer businesses, because we're constantly releasing, constantly wanting that content to go out to our audience, and a lot of these guys just don't have the time to write it themselves.
Yep.
So this is great. I'd also urge you guys to just take a look at this business model, because this is a great business model to try to recreate in your own service business. We talk about recurring revenue and managed services, and you can look at something like this, and it's basically, it's almost an all-you-can-eat, where you pay a monthly price, and then whenever they need something, they'll ping you about it. So this is a great, just to kind of look at a model, how this kind of model can work, and to use it in your own business as well.
And two quick things I'll just share with everybody is, one, if you want to know how I build it out, just reach out. I have some stuff that I can share with you about that, because Richard just mentioned he's doing a similar thing there, which is cool. If you email me, you can just email me at gabe@copywritertoday.net. And just so I know that it came from the show here, put hashtag important in the subject line, and it will come to me personally, and it won't get filtered into my team.
Oh, nice.
And then the other thing is, I have something cool. If people want to learn this, I have a model that I'm probably not going to touch. I have too much going on. I have this business model that I've mapped out that's very similar to Copywriter Today, that would be perfect for people that are good at DNS and like technical stuff, and I'll just map it out for you and show you it's a really cool model that if you want to add on or try something like this, reach out to me, and I'll share my thoughts. So
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely take advantage of that, guys, for sure. I appreciate all of the wisdom and the these tools and info that you're providing at the end here. So I guess you kind of already said where people can find out more about you and reach out to you. You also have, it's copywritertoday.net. You also have the podcast, Today's Business Leaders. I just Googled that, but it's at...
It's today'sbusinessleaders.com, and that'll take you right to the page on the site with that. And
cool.
Don't hate me because it's ugly, but there's some good episodes up there. We gotta work on the design. That was something that I launched a while ago.
Business marketing is a horrible website too. It's a guy had to do something to get the content up there. And
that's right. Always launch early, as I always tell people. Launch early. If you guys would have gone and looked at Copywriter Today in 2014 when I launched it, you would have never had me on the show. It was the ugliest site on the internet.
Cool. Yeah, no worries. So one last question for you. If you don't know, great. But if do you have any recommendations for someone I should interview on the show next?
I have had a lot of really good guests this week. I'm trying to think who would be a good fit. There is a guy named Joe. I'm horrible at his last name. It's like Joe. It's an Italian name, and it's like Giotti or something.
Cool.
But anyway, I'll get it to you because I'm horrible at his last name.
Yeah, no problem.
I had him on the show earlier today, and he talked about the barriers to success in our own minds and like trying to work on efficiency when we should work on effectiveness. And he will absolutely blow your listeners away. And so I will definitely hook you guys up because he's a phenomenal dude and can teach everybody a ton about marketing.
Oh, sweet. Cool. Yeah, definitely. So I'll follow up with you afterwards. It's okay, you don't know his exact name.
So I don't butcher his name any more than I did on my show.
Right. That sounds very cool. Awesome. And I mean, that's how I was introduced to you, as I asked the same question of a previous guest. And
yeah,
you gave your name. So awesome. Well, thanks so much again for being on the show. We appreciate it. I'd love to have you back in the future to maybe dig into more of maybe how you built your own business and some of the stuff behind the subscription models and the service as a service and all that stuff.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right, man. Let's keep in touch. Otherwise, take care and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Computer Business Marketing Show. Let's keep the conversation going, though. I love to hear from you guys. Head on over to computerbusinessmarketing.com. Let me know what you think of this show in the comments. Every show episode has show notes, so every link we talked about or every website we talked about will be in the show notes there on that website. Also, don't forget to join us in the Facebook group. It's called the Computer Business Marketing Group. And you can just go to techsitebuilder.com/group, and that'll take you straight to the Facebook group. Lots of great conversations going on in there all the time. Also, another reminder, if you listen to this podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, be sure to leave us a review over there. Let us know what you think of the show. It's, we love reading the reviews. We haven't gotten a review in a while, so we'd appreciate if you just let us know you're out there in iTunes land. How's it going? And finally, don't forget to check out our sponsor, TechSite Builder, at techsitebuilder.com, and we'll hopefully see you at the IT Owner's Compass at itocompass.com. And as always, thanks for checking out the Computer Business Marketing Show. My name is Matthew Rodella, saying, here's to your success.